everybody, it's Tyler here at the Central Illinois Regional, checking in 4028 Beak Squad. Oh my God, watching this reveal video that I saw it on Chief Delphi, I got pinged on there. This is one of the coolest robots in Crescendo, and I cannot wait to break this down a little bit more. You know, the centerpiece coming here is this incredible blower that they have for the trap mechanism. Last match just worked out as well too, so one of the coolest things here in Crescendo. But this is really a complete machine as well too, as we'll be focusing and covering all the different aspects of this robot, the general philosophy going into the Crescendo season, covering that intake into their scoring and amp mechanism. So much more to learn here about Beak Squad coming up on Behind the Bumpers. Support Fun's content creators when you sign up for a membership on YouTube Join. You'll get access to special perks like emotes, loyalty badges, and Fun members will even get early access to our scheduled videos and more. 100% of this revenue will go back to our correspondents to help recognize their efforts. Click the Join button in any YouTube video to pledge your support. Awesome, let's break down this robot. Starting out with your general philosophy going into Crescendo. You know, you have so many cool things on this robot. Break down for me how you approach the Crescendo game.
So ultimately as a team, we have a series of different attributes we must find in each one of our robots. So the first of these is speed. This year we are running Swerve Mark for Eyes with L3 modules, and due to the open field nature of Crescendo, we felt that this was ultimately right. Moreover, center of gravity is extremely important to us. Ever since 2016 and Stronghold, we have felt that it is incredibly important to not be a tippy robot. Last year, for example, we built an extremely tall robot, but we had a large steel belly pan. This year, however, we have maintained our low profile towards the ground and have ultimately been below 24 inches in our moving configuration. Lastly, another thing that is important to us is the robustness of our design. So we, as a team, are dedicated to making sure our robot does not break. And if it does, we are dedicated to making it as modular as possible. If it can't be taken off our robot in 3 or 4 bolts, we need to redesign it and ultimately create something new. So I'll move on to Abby for infeed.
Yeah, so Abby, one of the things that your team has done is really focus on that robustness as well too. So talk to me about that with your frame, and then we'll go into your intake.
Awesome, so absolutely. We have an under the bumper infeed, which, you know, early into competition season, we see a lot of these robots that have this sloped bumper, this under the bumper infeed, and they're often getting broken in and their entire front of the robot's collapsed in. And we didn't want to risk that, so we actually have a carbon fiber bar that sits right above this extrusion that sits in front of our swerve modules. Additionally, we have this printed part, which we have right here, just to add robustness and rigidity to the structure of the robot. As far as the infeed itself, we wanted to have contact with the note the entire way throughout the infeed, so we opted for orange plastic bands, but we felt like we still needed more grip on the robot, therefore we have these sushis for that. And that goes straight into our shooter.
So design-wise, was this something that you kind of always had in mind, is going under the bumper and then you're like using the poly belts and that sort of thing, or what different iterations maybe did you go through during build?
Yeah, so absolutely. We ran through a lot of different geometries with this shooter. A lot of it went across different band styles, where these bands are going to be placed. And ultimately, we wanted this to be a very narrow part of our robot, so we'd have a lot of other space for our shooter, which is quite large. So we are working in within 5 inches that are outside of our swerve modules.
It's a very smooth process you have through there so far. You know, as you were working through on the game and challenge, did you have to do anything in regards to trying to like funnel the notes in or prevent jamming or anything like that?
We definitely ran into some jamming issues. You can actually see this original shooter, and Siri can talk about this later, but it was extended into here, and we actually cut all of this Lexan out. So we had no catch points for the note as we're going into our shooter. That's probably the biggest thing when it comes to just the conveyance of the robot and catch points.
Well, Sarah, let's talk about your shooter and your amp scoring. I love all-in-one packages. Your team's been doing such a great job with it. So walk me through what you have and how'd you come up with it?
Yeah, so this shooter has gone through multiple progressions and prototypes. From the beginning, we've noticed that we have this dead space between where the note is and the shooter, and that just allows us to consistently let the shooter grab the note and not let any other like mechanical component grab it, which allows the note to be consistently shot. Another big thing of this shooter that we've come to like is that we like to put spin on the note, and it keeps the note flat. So in order to do this, our left and right are individually controlled. And then always since Beak Squad loves shooters, and since 2016 and on, we like to have multi-stage, and so you can see the 3 different stages in the shooter. And to bring in robustness and rigidity, these shafts go all the way across. That allows us to have this triangle formation.
What function does the polycord do on your robot?
So this polycord is used when the robot goes to amp. It allows the note to be shoot up and then almost like drop down, and we call it the whippy wheel because it whips it down into the amp scoring.
Well, I'm glad, this game's been pretty quiet so far. I'm glad I know which team is now the loud robot on the field as it went through. No, overall, I love the packaging. Can we see what an amp shot actually looks like on your robot?
Yes.
Okay, so it's hitting that as it goes through to kind of give that an extra knot. Has that been pretty accurate for you? You're pretty happy with it so far?
Yeah, so we've learned that if we're perfectly square against it, we don't need it. But if we want to get those quick cycles and not have to be perfectly aligned, this really allows us to have more margin of error in our drive system.
We have to wrap up this robot with, I don't know, do you call this a missile? What is this on your robot here? So talk to me more about it, Abby. This trap scoring is so cool. I don't know if we're going to start seeing just like dozens of teams start to use this or not, but talk to me about not only what it is, but how did you even come up with using this?
Yeah, we're all super excited about it. We lovingly call it the fan. So we started the season like a lot of other teams and wondering, hey, this trap thing's really hard. Can we try to shoot into it instead? And because of the angle of the shooter we were able to get at such a steep angle, we actually were able to shoot into the trap mechanism, but we were only able to do so because someone was on the other side of the stage holding the trap door open. So then we were paused with the question of how do we consistently keep that trap door open, because you're not getting that open unless you're up on the chain. So I think one day we were all gathered around, staring at the stage, wondering how are we going to do this, and we already had a shop vac on the floor. So we lifted up the shop vac, someone was blowing it open, and we were using our prototype shooter, and it was going in. And it's one of those ideas that it was all really cool, and we all were super excited to work on it, but there were other priorities at the moment, and it quickly became a back burner project that really only came together in the last, 2-3 weeks.
You can almost call it an afterburner project, really.
Oh yeah. But it was the kind of thing where it was still at the forefront of everyone's minds in designing the robot. Like where exactly are we going to put this, and do we have enough space on the robot to do it? So we're all super happy.
I just
with
want to
it.
clarify on this because I think there's with me. When I initially saw this, so it's not really manipulating the note itself at all. It's manipulating the trap door to keep that open. That's really cool. I love that. Can we just see that turn on and just how this whole thing works? This is so cool.
Let's do it. Let's get a note.
So I love it, just compact. I love the overall just packaging you've done for this and the concept for this as well. I mean, if this doesn't win like multiple awards this season, we're going to have to question what the judges are talking about because this is absolutely incredible. Beak Squad, congratulations on a phenomenal machine. This is going to be one of the most inspirational robots, I think, here in Crescendo. So thank you for taking time to tell us more about it. Good luck here at Central Illinois and throughout the rest of the season as well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Support funds content creators when you sign up for a membership on YouTube Join. You'll get access to special perks like emotes, loyalty badges, and fund members will even get early access to our scheduled videos and more. 100% of this revenue will go back to our correspondents to help recognize their efforts. Click the join button in any YouTube video to pledge your support.